sign of rain. Creek's gone dry, no sign of rain. Creek's gone dry, no sign of rain. Out in the tall grass prairie.
I'm going to ask you guys a question. I've already mentioned my gaddy horse that I had. This last spring, I had him put down. He was 32 years old. He looked pretty good at 31, but the time he got to be 32, he had declined pretty bad, and so I just made the decision. I've heard that horses don't die well if you just let them die. And a friend of mine told me, says, well, don't let his last day be his worst day. So the young lady that came out, she was probably even younger than you, quite frankly, a veterinarian, and she brought a couple of interns, but I thought she really handled that very professionally. And she even kind of complimented me on not waiting till I absolutely had to, So anyway, you guys got some comments about that. A little later on, my daughter had to put down they had to put down their family dog. And so that is something that, another thing that pretty much all of us will probably experience somewhere along the line, whether it's a pet or a horse or something. You guys got a comment about it? And by the way, that guy told me that euthanasia means good death. Is that right? Okay, there you go. So anyway, any comments on that type of thing?
Yeah. A lot of people come in and say, well, I can never be a veterinarian because I can never euthanize anything. Because they think that would be the worst thing that we ever do. It is by far not the worst thing I ever do. It's actually one of the better things we can do because we don't have to make them suffer. We can release them from pain. So like you said, euthanasia is good death. My view on it is I'd rather let them go a day too early than a day too late. I'd rather them go out when they're still feeling good and it being a good day than letting them sit there and suffer overnight. And so honestly, euthanasia is one of the more rewarding things that I do, just because I can provide a nice, peaceful way to go.
Yeah, I think we all have to agree. It is one of those things. A friend of mine told me that the vet she had worked for had always said that euthanasia is a final decision. And, he is right. And sometimes there are definitely times where you're like, let's try this. Let's give this option. Sometimes that's enough when you go home and you've got that, okay, we're doing this, and every once in a while, that dog is great 3 days later, and we've made the corner and we're doing fine. Or, we just don't look that great. There's been times, though, that I have, your pet doesn't look that bad, but they go through things like dementia. They can't hear, they can't see, they get lost in the house, they get lost outside. Someone accidentally runs over them because they can't get out of the way, or they fall down in the corner behind a chair and you can't get to them. And so by giving them that good death, you don't have to go through that suffering. We had a beagle, and Mike was gone last year. He's a National Guard. He was gone for 5 months on a training. When we first started dating, the beagle came to me as a stray. It fell out of someone's truck when they were doing construction on 77, made it over to my house, neutered him. The student that was riding with me at the time neutered him, brought him home. He's kind of always a little quirky. And then when we were together, he was working on a motorcycle one day, and he drops this yellow shirt that he's using as a rag, and Bruce the beagle takes it across the road, drops it, and rolls on it. So, of course, I've worked all this time on this beagle, and Mike is his favorite person. But last year, he was going through dementia. What do beagles do? Sniff out rabbits. He put his nose to the ground, go sniff, look up. Maybe he knew where he was at. Maybe he didn't. Keep going. He'd just start getting lost. And he had 14 lives. We've dropped tree branches on him by accident. He got under the four-wheeler one day. Mike was trying to lift one of those big water totes, which he shouldn't have, one of those big water totes on the back of the feed truck, and of course got dropped on Bruce. The day we accidentally dropped the branch, he had the worst concussion. We thought he was almost dead and gave him steroids. You got to give a dog steroids to make sure. And he looked great the next day. But the last day of his life was he had gotten straying at our house and got way over to one of the neighbors that he shouldn't have. I had him out the farm, which he loved the farm because he's a beagle, but he got out on the highway, and he'd never gone on the highway. And my neighbor goes and brings him back. And Mike was going to be home like in a month and a half, and I was trying to keep Bruce around until Mike got home, but it was that decision that evening. I was like, I'm not going to let him suffer that death. I'm not going to let some poor soul run over my dog. So we did that. We took him in, and without him, it was all like, I was going to wait till he got home, but we put him to sleep because he had the best day he could without getting himself in trouble and getting hurt or getting someone else horrified. So you have to make those decisions. They're worth making. And when you do, you feel so much better that you've done that.
Yeah, euthanasia is part of our job. And I think it's when we need to be the most compassionate and we need to guide them. I made a pretty much promise to myself that I wasn't going to tell somebody it was time to put their horse or dog to sleep. I felt like they would know when it was time. Whether it was a 32-year-old horse or a 15-year-old dog, those animals represent a lot of memories to that family or to that person. And it's time to be compassionate and be able to do it professionally and with as much ease as we can. And that's that was part of our job doing it.
Yeah, I think you have to realize that if you've been the doctor for a patient for like 15 years for a dog, you become very attached to that dog yourself. And we feel the loss just as much as the owner that brought the dog in when we have to put a dog down. It's something that is kind of tough to deal with at times, but you always know when the correct time to do it is. You can tell when it's the end of an animal's functional life, and it's the best thing to do.
I kind of concur with everything that's been said as far as the euthanasia. It probably came to me the most vividly when I married my wife, Geraldine, but I also married her dog. And so Flint went with us through vet school, went through us to Book Air Force Base, the School of Aerospace Medicine, went through us on Garfield Street. The dog catcher in Emporia knew Flint because he would bring him back, and fortunately he knew I was a veterinarian, so he actually didn't find me, and he should have. The neighbor across the street did not like Flint. Flint got messages from the neighbor across the street because Flint would go over and poop in his yard, not my yard. Good dog. Well, we outgrew the house that we were living in town, and so we built a house out at the edge of town, and we moved. Flint moved with us. By this time, he was probably 15, 16 years old, and the kids would walk to the end of the driveway, which is about a quarter of a mile, for the school bus, and Flint would go out with them. And originally, he would come back. But then dementia started. And he'd get out there and he'd just sit and wait and sit and wait. And finally, Geraldine and I decided it was time. And I think it's real important that when you do this, and I've never put a dog to sleep, have anyone put a dog to sleep or euthanize that was my dog, because I felt augmented to do it myself. And it's really a wonderful feeling.
Grass is high, so the cows are fat out on the tall grass prairie. Ground is wet, the wildflowers bloom. Ground is wet, the wildflowers bloom. Ground is wet and the wildflowers bloom.